Here's my definition of success, Melissa. Success for me now, after going through all of this and making all of the sacrifices that I made, is success is giving everything that you want, getting everything that you want without sacrificing the things that are of value to you.
That's
So in
good.
the past, I thought in order to make money, I had to sacrifice my kids or my relationship with God or my health. Now I'm just like, no, I'm gonna have optimal health. I'm gonna have a really great relationship. I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna have a relationship with my God. I'm gonna have time. I'm gonna have everything that I desire without sacrificing any of those things.
Here's a through line for you guys that are listening. Here's something that we're seeing throughout Ben's entire story. Self-awareness. Like Ben confronts himself pretty often in terms of like figuring out what is going on at each, stage of his life. Like in college, he confronted the fact that, okay, I'm gonna have to stop partying. Like if I'm gonna be serious about creating my own business, I'm gonna have to figure this out. I'm gonna have to stop partying. Then like you finally got married, you had to move into your own place. You're like, okay, my parents are no longer like I'm no longer getting that support. I'm gonna have to get a job, right? The Uber thing wasn't working. You confronted yourself there, like, okay, I'm gonna really have to get serious about forming a business that's gonna generate revenue. We went and got a business degree. You know what I mean? And then even in this stage, there are different stages in your relationship. You're like, okay, Ben, well, one, you started off as the baby, and then
Yeah.
two, you're like, all right, this is transactional. This sucks, Ben. Like, you gonna have to fix that.
Oh
So yeah,
man.
continue.
All right. So this is a really good tangent, and hopefully I could get back to my mom's story.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so that was this transactional piece, right? And mind you,
yeah.
like as self-aware as I am, my wife was saying it for years. It took me years to realize it because when she said, I'm just like, it's not true. But I'm just like, yo, it has to be true because I've heard of unconditional love. And I thought that's what I was doing. But I'm just like, if you're unconditionally loved, and why are you mad? You're mad because
Mm,
you placed the condition on love. So every time your wife does something that actually makes you unhappy or feel unloved, that means she's broke one of your rules that makes you feel loved. So you
mm,
put conditions on love. So literally everything you do, you've attached a thing to it. You don't do it for the sake of doing it. You do it for seeking something in return. And so my goal at the top of this year, I matured. My goal was to live a life where I'm unconditionally happy and unconditionally loving. Right. Carl brought up a point today when we was on a coaching call. He had a conversation that was doing a podcast, and CJ was just like, yo, flat out, I don't need my wife. And the old Ben they would have missed that. The new Ben gets it, right? Because I was clingy, right? There's 3 levels of damn, I'm about to do another one. Right. So in my relationship,
think
when
about
we
that.
first started off, I was dependent, which means
Mm,
like, yo, unless my wife does what she's supposed to do, I can't do what I need to do. And just like, yo, we need to budget. If she don't want to budget, we can't budget. Yo, I need to start a business. If she don't want to start a business, we can't start a business. I'm like, yo, we need to do personal development. If she don't want to do personal development,
mm,
I can't do personal development. Can you see how my happiness was dependent on her doing something? And then from there, we became transactional, where I grew a little bit, and it was based off a conversation I had with Eve. I won't go into that conversation, but I eventually grew to the point where it's just like, yo, you do you, I'm gonna do me. So we was independent. So it's just like, yo, I know I need personal development, so I'm gonna go do my personal development thing. And it's called personal development, not spousal development. Like I was that
that
guy
part.
that would buy books and hope, like just put it right there and hope she reads it. Or get in the car and listen to personal development stuff and hope she catches it. And while me thinking about what she's receiving, I'm missing what I need for me. So I
Mm,
started to kind of like just focus on me, right? And she focused on her, and we grew as a result of that. And I said, like, yo, it's beautiful. And I told my right this when we got to that stage. I was just like, yo, it's beautiful that we operate independently of each other. But it also sucks because there's another level called codependence or interdependence.
enter.
We're just
Mm,
like, yo, we don't need each other. We want each other. And that's where
yep.
CJ is at. When you're just like, yo, I don't need my wife. I want my wife. So I could do a lot. I could do bad all by myself. Like I can do good. Let me rephrase that. I could do good all by myself, but I want
Right.
to do good with you.
Right.
And if you want to do good with me, we could do good together. Right.
Right.
So now, whenever you don't fulfill your end of the bargain, that doesn't mean I stop. fulfilling my end of the bargain. And that's what unconditional love really is, which means it's like, yo, I accept you for who you are, and whatever you do, I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna allow you to grow at your own pace. I'm gonna allow you to give at your own pace, and that's not gonna impact how much I give to you because I'm already okay inside. So
Awesome.
I'll stop there. If you got any thoughts, comments you want to make.
Nah, feel free to return to the mom story. I know I took you like
Um, there's another thing that I could do with this, and it'll go back to the mom story, just in case
Okay,
people have businesses, right?
sure.
So the way I relate that, because people really relate to what's it called? Relationships, because everybody has a relationship. But what I
Sure.
realized is I do that same thing I did in my marriage in every area of my life, right? And I call it, and I got this from Tony as well, but I kind of like reframed it into my own thing. I call it like levels of consciousness. And
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, all that really means, we got a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. But in the
Yep.
terms for the purposes of this conversation, consciousness is a measure of how much you care about something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And whatever
Mm-hmm.
you care about, you focus on. So there's three
Right.
levels of consciousness. The first level of consciousness, for people who that have their pens and papers and listen to Melissa at the top of this call, right, is egocentric. And that's similar to baby love. And all that means is you only think and care about you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if there's nothing you can get from the situation, you don't want no parts, right? The second is world centric, where you go a little bit past egocentric and you're world centric. That means you're transactional. You care about yourself, but you've matured and you've learned to care about other people. And the only reason you care about other people is because you realize that, yo, if I do good, people are going to do good things for me. If I do bad,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to do bad things to me. So I got to make sure I do good so that they pay me money. I got to make sure I do good so that my wife could give me grown man gifts. I got to make sure that I do good so my kids can love me. I got to make sure that I do good so people don't judge me. I got to put on social media so I can get more likes. And then
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't fail. I can't be my authentic self. So we learn how to avoid pain and seek pleasure through other people. That's transactional. And then finally, the last level is spirit centric, where you're free. I have this quote, Melissa, that embodies what CJ kind of like mentioned when he's like, yo, I don't need my wife. And essentially it says, when you get to spirit centric, like you're free and you're who you are. Remember our what's it called? His name is Eric Thomas. When he did the disc
Mm-hmm.
assessment, he's just like, yo, how do you get more success in the shortest period of time using the least amount of effort? It's self-awareness and authenticity.
Yep.
So you're like, yo, Ben, you've been a little bit self-aware throughout this entire process. However, most of my life I wasn't authentic. I knew who I needed
That.
to be, but I couldn't be whoever I wanted to be because I was afraid of what people would think or what people would do. And
Right.
so when you get to spirit centric, the quote, I got this from Bob Proctor, is like, yo, in order to be free, I got to be me. Not the me that my wife thinks I should be. Not the me that my kids thinks I should be. Not the me my boss or my coworkers thinks I should be. Not the me that anybody thinks I should be. In order to be free, I got to be me. So I better know who me is. And
Important.
yeah, and all of that means when you get to spirit centric and you really find out who you are, you'll realize you're okay. You don't need nothing external to happen. So all of my life, I was trying to get beyond scarcity, right? Where it's just like, yo, when I achieve this goal, when I hit this milestone, I'll be okay. Every time I hit the milestone, I just move the finish line. I was never okay. But the thing that I
Mm-hmm.
realized is you can never get beyond scarcity. You got to start beyond scarcity. You got to realize that you are already abundant. You have an abundance of love. You have an abundance of money. You have an abundance of time, right? However, based off your consciousness, abundance, you always have an abundance. So one of the thing is just like, yo, you could either have an abundance of the thing that you want or the abundance of the thing that you don't want. So you can have an abundance of money or you could have the abundance of a lack of money based off your paradigm. And
That
I
part.
realized I had an abundance of not enough time, an abundance of not enough love, an abundance of not enough money based off my paradigm. And everything that I was doing was trying to get more of that stuff. And so how this connects to my business, and I hope people get this, and then I'll go on the story up thing. Because who's and I'm in coaching mode, but feel
I
free if
know.
you're listening, just raise your hand.
Put it in
um,
the comments, y'all.
yeah, put
Put it
it
in
in
the
the comments.
comments.
Like, yo, you start and stop stuff. Like for instance, a business. Like I remember network marketing. I did it with network marketing and even my coaching business, right? So when I quit my
Wow.
job, the beautiful thing, I'll use quitting my job. The beautiful thing is like, yo, I went all in. And I remember when I made the decision to quit my job, Melissa, I'm just like, yo, all right, bet. When you quit your job, because you was telling God you don't have time, right?
Mhm.
And God was just
Mhm.
like, yo, you do have time. You just don't have confidence, right? Because your thought was like, yo, if I quit my job, I'm not going to be able to support my family, which
Right.
makes you believe that your boss pays you and God doesn't pay you.
Right.
You confused um the channel with the source.
Mhm.
God is the source, the channel is the job. And I was just like,
Right.
you know what, God, you're right. I didn't have enough confidence. So I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna believe in you and I'm gonna go all out in this business, Jokers. Quit my job. First, literally, it was crazy. First month, 5 grand. Second month, 10 grand. Third month, 30 grand. Literally made 150 grand in 6 months. I went all out for God. Right? Here's the thing. I went all out for God for 2 months. Very quickly, I stopped from serving God to serving me. Right? Because what
Just
happened is
like that.
just like that. Because what happened is I made a lot of money. And I remember the month that I made probably like 30 grand in 1 month. I was just like, yo, I got enough money in the bank account. I got to work for an entire year. I was miserable. Right? So I'm always looking, I hit the goal, was miserable. I'm like, oh, what's the next goal? I always wanted to join Tony's Platinum Partnership Program, which was a 6-figure program. And I
Yep.
had coaching clients at the time, and I know like everything that I've been through, like I gotta upsell them on the back end. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna join Tony's 6-figure coaching program to prove to y'all that y'all should spend more money with me. Because y'all excuse for not wanting to invest in the next level is like, yo, Ben, you've already arrived. You already got it figured out. I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm gonna prove it to y'all. I'm gonna invest six figures that I don't have into a program and tell you that I can figure it out because I believe in God. It was in retrospect that I realized like, yo, bro, you remember one of the things I say is just like, yo, the reason we do things is either you got something to hide, you have something to prove, or you have something that you're ashamed of.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And I wanted to prove to them that I was a good enough coach so that they would continue to work with me. So I had to do this insane thing masked as me serving God. And so when they didn't re-enroll after I went through that process where it's just like, yo, month to month, Melissa, like, yo, I was spending $20,000, $30,000 a month. I was spending $5,000 or $10,000 more than I was making as I was going through that process. And I'm going through hell. And then I go through all of that and my clients don't re-enroll. I'm just like, what is happening here? I'm transactional. I thought if I did this for you, you guys would rock with me. And they stopped rocking with me.
Mm.
And my very
Mm.
immediate instinct when when I was just like, yo, you gonna keep rocking with me? And they said no, just like that was I didn't
Mhm.
say that, but that's
Mhm.
what I felt inside. That made me not want to give. Same thing when I started investing in ads and I'm spending money to get clients. I'm just like, yo, if I'm not getting as many clients as I want, I'm not going to run the ads. And that turned me, Melissa, you don't know this. I don't think I shared this with you. Last year, like I ended up being a functional alcoholic. So my first year in
Yeah.
business, the first 6 months, I made 150 grand. The next year in business, made 100 grand. The next year, 150 grand. Last year, I made 100 grand in the first 3 months of the year. But then after
Oh.
that, because I was transactional, I was just like, yo, F this. I'm not working no more. Like, because I realized, like, yo, Ben, you're doing this to get a check. And because
Ah,
like how the numbers are going, you don't want to be a coach anymore. So you
that
are coaching only so you can make money. And therefore you were attracting people that only wanted to make money. So you thought it was the clients, but it was really you.
that part. Yep.
You attract
Les
who you are.
Brown says it. Yep. Les Brown said it. Like in life, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are.
And I was just like, oh my God. And it's only because I was transactional. Like I wanted their money, and I was just I masked. I said I want to help you, but really what I wanted was your money because I stopped helping when I wasn't getting paid. I stopped being a business owner when I wasn't getting paid, which means I wasn't doing. I was conditional in
Mhm.
everything that I did, and it wasn't until this year that I was just like, "Yo, Ben, can you get to the point where you can love your wife, do your business, and everything that you can do, even if you don't get nothing back in return?" And for a very long time, I couldn't say yes to that. But now, ET talks about covenant. Like, bro, I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it for me because I grow by giving. I feel fulfilled
That.
and alive by giving. This is covenant. This has nothing to do with you, my wife, my kids, or anything else. This is who I am. And because I am who I am, I live in abundance and my cup runneth over.
Yep.
All right, that was very long. We got 12 minutes left, but hopefully you got something from all of that.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Like my viewers know, like I always put the information like across the screen as the people are
Hmm.
talking. Yeah, because there are a lot of gems just in your story. So, and that's why I let you go because I knew there would be a lot there. So, thank you so much for sharing that. To your coaching, kind of talk about who you help and like what techniques you use to help them.
All right, so coaching, who I help. So initially, like, and this is that adjustment period. So when I first
Mhm.
started coaching, of course, I started off as a relationship coach, and then I went from relationship coaching to business coaching, and I did really well with business coaching. Like, I got, I think maybe at this point, maybe $5 million in client success stories, and personally for me, like cash in a bank account, not just sales, like probably 400K in the past 3 years. Right, so like I feel like I've done well in 3 years, right, and I've
Yeah,
helped people do a lot better than me. And but
right,
I went to that transactional thing where it's just like, yo, Ben, like you didn't come in there just to help people make money, right? You really want to change lives and stuff like that. And that's when I transitioned and I really started partnering with Carl and we help people, right? And the very first thing that we help people with is their life. And what
right.
specifically in their life is their paradigm, as I like to call it, right?
Hmm.
And essentially, what is a paradigm? A paradigm is essentially a bunch of habits that you have that's unconscious. So
Yep,
what the numbers say is 5% of your 95% of your
yep.
actions are habitual, and only 5% are conscious, right? And so what that really means, if we look at the percentages, like yo, 80% of the thoughts you think, the feelings you have, and the actions you take, you didn't mean to take them. It happened automatically.
Facts.
And only 5% of the thoughts you think, the feelings you experience, and the actions you take are actually conscious. And that brings
Hmm.
us to the dilemma. And one of the things that we know about the subconscious is just like, yo, automatically, if not directed, like, yo, we think close to 60 to 80,000 negative thoughts per day.
Correct.
Those aren't new thoughts. Majority of those thoughts are actually redundant. So that's you criticizing yourself over and over and over again, reminding yourself that you suck, that your wife sucks, that your life sucks. And like, like you're not even trying to do it. Your mind is doing it for you, right? And when I first got extreme execution certified, Moose gave a stat like, yo, when you say like, yo, 95% of your behavior is conscious, subconscious, and 5% is actually conscious, you have 24 hours in a day. How much of your day are you actually aware of what you're actually doing? He said that equates to about 1.5 hours. So for only
Wow.
1.5 hours of the day, you know exactly what you're doing. And during that time, what are you doing? Watching cat videos. Right? No, watching TV. Like whenever you're arguing with somebody else, like that's all you're doing with the 1% of the time that you're conscious. And so
Wow.
what I share or what I help people with, and this was my dilemma that I'm constantly trying to improve in, we're just like, this is the human conundrum. We can't get ourselves to do what we want to do, and we can't stop ourselves from doing what we don't want to do. That's
Mhm.
the challenge. And it's because
Mhm.
we aren't aware of what's causing us to do what we're currently doing. So I'm gonna repeat that again. As a human being, ask yourself this question: can I do what I want to do? And can I stop myself from doing what I don't want to do? So what did I want to
Mhm.
do throughout this entire story? Most of the time, I wanted to be an unconditional, I wanted to be an amazing dad. I wanted to be an unconditional loving husband, and I wanted to start a business. I wanted to tell my wife the truth. I mean, my mom the truth about how I really felt and what I needed to do. I couldn't get myself to do it for years. Like there was this, or to quit my job. I couldn't get myself to do it as much as I wanted to do it. I couldn't get myself to do it. Right. And then I would tell myself the excuse, Melissa, I'm a procrastinator. I don't have time. Right. I'm inconsistent. And I remember listening to
Mhm.
CJ, right, from the Secrets to Success podcast. And what CJ said was, for people that say that they're inconsistent and that they don't have enough time, I challenge that thought. He says, when you say you're inconsistent, all you're really saying is you can't consistently get yourself to do what you want to do. However, you're
Mhm.
consistent at something else. You're consistent at the cat videos. You're consistent at scrolling through social media. You consistently procrastinate. You're doing something consistently. It's just not the thing that you don't want to, that you actually want to do. And that brings me to the second point where we can't stop ourselves from doing what we don't want to do. We actually want to plan our day. We want to read the book. We want to start the business, but we can't get ourselves to do it. Why? Because we have this subconscious programming that's controlling us. And whenever we try to change, we hit this brick wall. So Melissa,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure your audience, you've been to ET conferences and a number of other conferences, and after that, yo, you ready to run through a brick wall. Some of us, one day after, you don't got that same courage. Some of us, no. Some of us 2 or 3 weeks after, you're done. What happened? Your paradigm setting. You was in an environment where
Yes.
he
The
shot your belief that
autopilot.
you thought you could do it, right? But then over time, your autopilot started to kick in, and you realize you couldn't do it. And it's because you
Yep.
don't understand what's really controlling your behavior. So in a nutshell, that's what I really do. Because like, yo, whenever we decide to change, we got 5% of ourselves fighting against 95% of who we actually are. So it's an internal battle. So I
Yep.
teach people strategies on how to change. There's 2 ways we could change. We could change in a state of pain and suffering, or happiness and joy. And most of us change in a state of pain and suffering. Like, we don't change until you get to the point where it's just like, yo, I thought my mom. I changed when it's just like, yo, things got really dicey in my relationship. I changed when I realized, like, yo, I was broke, busted, and disgusted and overwhelmed and underpaid. That's when I finally changed. I could have changed years before. I just didn't know
Yep.
how. I teach people how to change now, despite their external pressures and circumstances.
Very good. Very good. So, and I love the way that you brought in all of that because you kind of combined the few questions that I did have left, which is great. Um, but kind of talk about I got two final questions as we wrap up here. But talk about the results of your assessment when you first took it and how you've seen yourself evolve since. Like
Mhm.
obviously we know your story, but just learning what your assessment results were and you're like, all right, now that I see this snapshot and
You
then
got
seeing where you are now. Kind of talk about that.
All right. I'm gonna give myself 3 minutes.
Three. Three.
Cool. So when I first saw my assessment, I was like, ill, I'm a high S.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a high C. I suck. I want to be a high I. I want
Oh,
to be a high D.
okay.
That was my initial reaction.
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to be one of the cool people. I wanted to be able to
Hmm.
take decisions and be a leader. So when I took the assessment, I didn't see what I was. I saw everything that I was not. And Moose helped me
Oh,
realize, like,
good.
yo, the assessment is just a snapshot of your preferences and your tendencies as you are
Yep.
now based off what you've been exposed to. It's not who you are.
Exactly.
And look, the assessment is not good or bad. It just is what it is. So we're all for those things, but based off how you were raised and what you were exposed to, you developed a
Yep.
preference for using one of those. And one of the examples he used for me is just like, because I was a high S, I have a steady pace and I'm super analytical. And
Yes.
I remember when I went to Michigan, he asked me to kind of like pull out my keys. Right? I got my car keys in my pocket, right? And he was just like, the assessment is, you got 4 keys, right? I got a car key, I got a house key, I got a key to a basement or something like that, and I got a key to my mom's house. He was like, you got a key to your mom's house? She must trust you and love you. You're like, I don't know. Like, some people don't get keys to their mom's house. But
That
he was
part.
just like, say your car key is your highest. He was like, yo, bro,
Mm,
when is the last time you went to your door and tried to open the door with your house key? I mean, your car key. I was like, I've never done that. It's like, bro, that's what you're doing in your life right now. There's certain situations that where you need to be a D and you bring in an S key. You don't know how to change. And if ever you do change, you change and not because you realize it's required or necessary to get your goal. You're changing because somebody forced you to change.
right.
And so what I had to realize, I was what's it called? Bob Proctor has this quote. He's like, yo, the reason we're not successful is not because of what we don't have. The reason we're unsuccessful is everything we think we need.
That's
So it's just like, bro, you got everything you need to be successful. You're just not looking at what you are. Like, you think you need to be something else instead of who you actually are. And so what I realized over time is just like, yo, I'm all for those jokers. And I've learned to be a D when I need to be an I when I need to, be the S when I need to, and to be a C whenever I need to. And there's this quote. I don't know if you watched what's it called? There's this Will Smith movie that was on Netflix.
there's several of them,
Yeah,
I think.
and there was like monsters and orgs in there, and he was like a cop. I can't
Oh,
remember the name of the movie.
is it bright light?
Right,
Something
it
something
was bright. It was bright.
bright.
Yeah, there was this assassin in that Joker. And when the assassin came out, I credited one of our clients for sharing the story when I was share something. The assassin came out and Will Smith was like, yo, who are you? Because she was a beast. Right? He was just like, who are you? And she never said who she was. She's just like, yo, I am whatever my Lord requires me to be.
Oh,
Right. So that's what I had to finally realize. When somebody's like, yo, who are me? Bro, I'm whatever God needs me to be.
that.
So if I'm whatever I need to be to fulfill my mission. So if I need to be a D to fulfill my mission, I'm gonna be a D. If I need to be an I, I'm gonna be an I. If I need to be an S, I'm gonna be an S. If I need to be a C, I'm gonna be a C. I got a preference. I would like to be an S and handle it in a nice way or an analytical way. But when those ways don't work, I'm gonna bring out the D or I'm gonna bring out the social aspect of me. So whatever is required, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do whatever it takes in order to get closer to God and fulfill his purpose for my life. So I got it done in 4 minutes.
I was peeping. And I mean, to be honest with you, this is part of the S in me in terms of like my interview style. There are a lot of folks that are like very rigid with their time. They're very rigid with the way they ask their questions or whatever. I let people say what they're saying because one of the things that we as human beings value is being seen, heard, known, and loved, even if we're not necessarily agreed with. So
Yeah.
like that's one thing. When you're talking, I let you talk. I let it breathe. And that way the message, the gem that's supposed to be that the audience is supposed to get, they get to hear it. So appreciate you for that. Um yeah, so my last question in terms of this is now that you have connected with Carl, you guys are doing amazing things in the GC group. Kind of talk about the evolution you've seen in the members in that group since you joined it. Because I think the GC group is what, like 4 or 5 years old, maybe more than that. But like, talk about the growth you've seen in the members since you, Carl, and the other coaches have been pouring into them.
Yeah. So I see they grow as I grow.
Mm.
As this quote where it's just like, yo, the bottleneck in any business is either the psychology or the skill set of the business owner. So I remember when I
Oh.
first started coaching, I started to believe the thought like, yo, my clients don't want to grow. And whenever thought that thought, I realized because I'm not growing. Right? So now, as a result of all the experiences that I went through, like, yo, I've been able to help people come back from divorce. I've been able to help people. Like, we got this one person who's just like, kind of divorced or separate from their parent, in their business, filed bankruptcy, and struggling with their kids, doesn't want to start a business at all anymore, and just was going through it in a matter of 3 months, totally different person. Right?
Mm.
I've had other people where it's just like, yo, they came in, filed bankruptcy, the investor, and just like in a matter of 6 months, dude made like 40 grand. Where it's just like, yo, I sucked before, just came out of a bankruptcy. And on top of that, like I haven't been producing as much income as I wanted to in this investing thing. I was just like, bro, I got you. Rocked with us, 240 grand in a year. Or 6 months, I think it might have been. Because he didn't start making money until like April, and by the end of the year it was 240 grand. So we got a number of stories like that where people are transforming in their relationship, um, marriage, parenting, in their business, and then also the most important thing as a human being.
Hmm. Beautiful. That one you knocked out in three. So we got a bit of a bonus round here because there's one last thing I do want you to discuss before we wrap this up. You have you mentioned five, I think it's 5 levels of mastery, like 5 steps, like a 5-step thing to mastery. So real quick, just share with our audience what those steps are. Because
All
I
right.
want them to walk away with that in terms of productivity, because they're going to need that to beat
Yeah.
procrastination.
All right. So essentially, what I realized this by listening to Darren Hardy. He's the publisher of Success Magazine, and he was a mentee to Jim Rohn. And I remember reading his book. I think it's called The Compound Effect. And of course, I listened to the speeches,
Yes,
and I remember him saying somewhere, where it's just like, yo, whenever you learn something new, and you think you gotta ask yourself 3 questions. You're like, yo, because you're gonna say it, you know it. And he's just like, bro, I'm not teaching you something that you don't know. Like everything I'm about to repeat, you've heard before, some way or form. You said you was gonna implement, and you didn't implement.
that's
Right?
that's
So we all have that struggle. And so he's just like, all right, so now that when you hear something that you know or you claim to know, ask yourself the question, are you doing it? And if the answer to that question is yes, are you doing it consistently? And if the answer to that question is yes, have you mastered it? And if the answer to that question, do you have the result to prove that you've mastered it? So that turns into 5 steps. So I turned that into a framework where in order to get what you want consistently in life, and here's my definition of success, Melissa. Success for me now, after going through all of this and making all of the sacrifices that I made, is success is giving everything that you want, getting everything that you want without sacrificing the things that are of value to you.
That's
So in
good.
the past, I thought in order to make money, I had to sacrifice my kids or my relationship with God or my health.
Mm.
Now I'm just like, no, I'm gonna have optimal health. I'm gonna have a really great relationship. I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna have a relationship with my God. I'm gonna have time. I'm gonna have everything that I desire without sacrificing any of those things. Right. So now when I look at that system, I'm just like, all right, Ben, you know a lot of stuff. Are you, now that you know it, because that's the first step. If you don't know it, go find out. Then you got to ask yourself, are you doing it? Are you doing what you know? And then once you're like, yes, I'm doing what I know, start doing that thing consistently. And that's where most of us fall off. But until you do something consistently, and consistently is 3 to 6 months, bare minimum,
Oh,
right?
good.
Until you do that, you won't reach a level of mastery. And we know the stats for real, for real. In order to reach the level of mastery, you actually got to do something for 10 to 20 years.
Oh.
For real, for real. So, I'm on my weight loss journey and stuff like that. Where it's just like, I was really overweight last year and stuff like that. I was like at 220 pounds. And right now I'm like 188. That was not 8 months of being consistent. I'm not a master yet. And so before I would get upset when I would step on the weight and I see one morning I'm up, another morning I'm down, and it make me not want to look at the scale or go to the gym. I was like, yo, Ben, you're trying to hit a result and you're not trying to change your lifestyle. Once you change your
Mm.
lifestyle and reach mastery, everything happens automatically. And that's where we want to go. We want to get to mastery, which means everything that we want to do happens automatically in our favor. And as a result, we get the results effortlessly every single time, right? Kind of like when you drive a car in the beginning, when you started driving, you didn't know what you was doing. You read a book and thought you knew how to drive until you failed your license, your test. I mean, you failed the first actual test to drive the car. And then you started practicing driving the car, and now
Yep.
you actually got your license. But that's
Yep.
different from actually driving on the highway. And then now you've mastered driving on the highway, so now you got kids in the background. You're eating. You got a full bladder, and you still good on the highway. And look, you're so good that all of that could be happening, and you look up and you're at your job. You don't realize how you got there. That's mastery. And as a result, you can get from home all the way to work without even thinking about it. When we get that much of a beast in all the areas of our life, life is fun. And that's where we want to get. We don't want temporary results. We want lasting change that improves effortlessly over time. That's it, Melissa.
Yes. Yes. I know. I got you. So let our folks know where they can find you and how they can get involved with the coaching if they want that, or get involved with the GC call if they want that.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And I think it's just Ben Bakayoko or Ben Bak Coaching. And how to get
Okay.
involved with the GC community, you'll have to follow Carl Wesley Phillips or go to the gcguy.com. Yeah, follow
That's
Carl Wesley
it.
Phillips and go to
That's
the
it.
gcguy.com, the gcguy.com, and that'll get you his book and access. We actually do free coaching in the community. Once you purchase the book, we do a free coaching call every Thursday, I think. Yeah, for
Every
about an hour.
Thursday.
So you'll get free coaching, and if you feel like you need some additional support, you can have a conversation with somebody on our team to see what we can do to support you in that area. That's it,
Sounds
Melissa.
good. Yes. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you. We would love to have you back on.
My pleasure. I love to be back on You Rock.
Beat procrastination with an attitude. Go to gettingthewindgear.com. We've got shirts that deliver that message of your strong focus and dedication to your hashtag luxury item, because your goal is super important. You are super important, and it's important that the world knows that you know that. Give them the message of focus, of self-work, of self-improvement and empowerment. Go to gettingthewindgear.com. Check out the shirts, sweats, mugs, bags if you need it. And give yourself that reminder, give the world that reminder that you are indeed a goal getter. You are indeed a winner.